Hello everyone, welcome again to Production Engineering 1 course. This time we are going to start our course by giving some introduction about petroleum production system. Uh, so by the end of this lecture, students should be able to first identify the different components that composing a petroleum production system, and second, to determine the function of each production system component. Before starting to speak about different components that composing production system, here we can take a look into typical oil and gas production process. So this is considered as simple production facilities. So here we can see we have about 5 producing wells and here 2 injection wells. So we are not going to talk in details about the components of the wells. I mean the subsurface components. Just here the objective is to show how the process goes from the reservoir into treatment to the end user. Here the 5 producing wells are producing, say that oil or oil and gas. So the first, so the produced fluids are just flow streams that composing everything: oil, water, gas, and some contaminants like sand, like non-organic material. So all these mixtures comes from the wells and from different wells. Here are 5 wells. Then it leaves the well from the wellhead. The first component is through which the stream leaves is choke, and then there is 2 flow lines. One flow line is going to each flow line is going to one production manifolds. So we have 2 manifolds, one is for production and the other one is for testing. So that from each well we have 2 flow lines. One flow line is going to production manifold and the other one is going to testing manifold. So the flow lines, the distance between flow lines and oil gathering manifold depends on how far the well is from the manifold and the number of wells that connect this manifold, and the pressure rating of the flow lines also depend on the pressure of the fluid coming from manifold. So all these things are should be identified during the design of the surface process flow. So from production manifold, we have one line that collecting the produced fluids from all the wells and directs this fluid to treatment system. The first stage in treatment is separation. Here we may have one single separation stage or multi-stage depending on the pressure of the fluid and the complexity of these fluids. So here we have 2-stage separation, and both are horizontal separators. So from each separator, the flow stream is separated into 3 phases: oil, gas, and water. So the gas will flow upward into gas treatment facilities and separation systems, and it goes after conditioning the gas or treating the gas. It will go straight into the either gas pipeline or end user direct. The oil uh, separated from the first stage separator will goes will go to the second stage with its associated water and gas. So from the second stage, we still will have remaining gas in the oil. It will flow in the same way upward to the gas treatment system, and waters from the two separators will be separated from the bottom of the separators, and it will be directed to water treatment facilities. And the oil separated from all separators will be collected and will be directed to oil treatment facilities. And the oil treatment facilities also depends on the complexity of these fluids. So if you have, for example, very complex fluid, very heavy and very contaminated, then we need very complex facilities. Maybe we need heated treatment facilities, and the final treated oil will be directed to oil storage system, oil storage tanks, and then it can be directed using pumps into a pipeline for export or to refineries. This for produce fluids that the flow streams which flows to production manifolds. And for the test manifold, we have also a test separator. So this we may need to use from time to time to check the quality of the fluid and to get some sample to measure the oil properties and so on. So this all about the production wells. At the same time, sometimes we may have some injection wells depending on the pressure of reservoir pressure. So if reservoir pressure is declining, then we need to support. One way of supporting the pressure is by injecting water or gas into the reservoir. So this is just a simple production flow diagram. So in briefly, as a typical production system consists of the following components. So any production system we should start from reservoir, then the oil or gas and water and all the stream will flow through wells and till the surface, and from wells, as we have seen in the production flow diagrams, there is some flow lines that connecting the wells into gathering manifold, and after gathering manifold, all the collected fluids will go to treatment facilities. So the first step in treatment facilities is separators. Then after fluids are become pure, we have pure oil, pure gas, then the gas can flow through compressors, and oil flow through using the pumps into pipelines. Okay, so typically we should have at least these components. So of course, for example, in wells we have another component, subsurface components like packers, like subsurface safety valve, like sometimes we have subsurface choke, and we have some restrictors downhole. We have sometimes metering systems, we have pressure gauge, temperature gauge, and so on and so forth. But here are the main components that are typical components in any production system. We are going to discuss these components in detail just to see how it looks like and what is the function of each one, and what is the location in the flow process flow diagram, and so on. So here is a typical single well production system. So the single well production system, as we see here, start from reservoir with a, uh, given pressure or specific pressure, and we have well, and we have well head, and then it goes from well head into separator, or sometimes it goes to oil gathering manifold. Okay. So the well, the reservoir is, we have reservoir is given, for example, or a specific pressure. So this pressure will uh, push the oil or gas from the reservoir. So the oil or gas are initially located inside permeable zone, sandstone or calcite formation. Then they should be uh, uh, conduct from the reservoir into the well, what is known as perforation. So the pressure will push the fluid into the well to go through perforation into well tubing, and depending on the pressure downhole, well flowing pressure PWF. So the reservoir pressure is PE or PR, depending on the type of the reservoir, which we'll come to discuss later on. The well pressure is PWF, well flowing pressure. The difference between PE and PWF is the drawdown or the pressure drop inside the reservoir. Then if the oil flowing pressure is enough to push the oil or and gas fluid into the surface, then in this case oil flowing pressure should be greater than the pressure drop inside the oil. We will come to discuss all this in details. Just here we want to see how a single well will look like. Okay, on surface we have a well head. The well head consists of some valves. Okay, and the most important valve is this choke here. So here we have two wing valves and one master valve. This one master valve is used to close or open the well, and here is this is the swabbing valve. So depending on the pressure and the desired flow rate, this valve will be open partially or totally to allow fluid to go to the separator. So this is just a very some brief introduction about oil and gas production system for a single well and for one small field. So we'll continue to talk about these components one by one, and then we will later on come to talk about how to relate the pressures of reservoirs with flow rate, and the pressure drop inside the tubing with flow rate, and how to calculate our production rate depending on the fluid and rock properties, and how to optimize our production rate. So all this will go step by step. Okay, so I will see you in I will see you later in following lectures, and goodbye for now.